Kate Rohde. I'm an artist designer based in Melbourne. I've come from a fine art background, so I guess in a lot of ways my designs, they're not so constrained by ideas of practicality and functionality, and they tend to have a more fantastical kind of aspect to them. The style of work that I make is very influenced by Baroque and Rococo, and I'm sort of repulsed and attracted by it in equal measure. And the thing I love about it is in that making process, I've always done, from the time I was a child, any drawing, anything I did was excessively detailed. It was all about spending hours just working on something and kind of going into a bit of a meditative mental space. And so the detail, in a way, is me just kind of going into a space. I had always been really interested in working with resins, because I had this weird fascination with transparency and transparent materials. Over the years, I just found that it was a material that I had a real affinity with. It's something you can be very experimental with, and you can really push it in a lot of ways, as well as it being, because it essentially comes as a sort of water clear type mix. You can really work with it in a number of ways with colour. You can have very intense colours, you can have it as transparent or opaque and pearl. There's just so many options. So when Simone invited me to participate in the Rigg Prize, she sort of gave us a very loose brief, which was to come up with a complete interior concept, which for me was just, like a kid in a candy store. A lot of my artwork has been based around doing complete room installations. So this was almost like a dream opportunity to have this whole environment to present a body of work in. From the very beginning, I just knew straight away what I wanted to do, and I just set about making it. I just sort of began with imagining a sort of a big table as the central piece, and then I guess over the years I've built up, as well as resin, there's a range of materials that I have a real affinity and love of working with, and another of them is acrylic hair extensions and fake fur. And so I was imagining an environment that incorporated all those sort of signature materials. In a way, I feel that it's like a bit of a greatest hits up to this moment presentation, where it's taken everything sort of worked on the last 15 years and brought it all together. In a way, it's been quite strange sort of transitioning into design-based projects, because for the first 10 years that I was working, I never had to consider really practical concerns. Like, things didn't really have to be functional. Like, I would make a table or something, but it was just a prop, so it could be very rough around the edges and quite unpolished. When I started to do the more industrial design type projects, I had to actually really refine and work my way through, just things like finishing, until I started by making jewellery. And, you just can't have sharp edges. I think it's been quite a good thing for my artwork as well, because it means that I look at the work in a lot more detail. I do a lot more finishing and refinement, and I've learned a lot of new techniques. So everything kind of feeds into it, and I've become, I don't know if I'm there yet, but I've become a lot better at working through structural issues, and like you could actually sit on the chairs in the exhibition. They're not just props. They have steel reinforcement in them, which is something I would never have contemplated beforehand.